Hey, this is Tom, and this video is sponsored by nobody. Since in this video we don't have any sponsors, we don't ask you to click nothing, to smash nothing, to buy nothing. The only thing I ask of you is just to listen. So, a moment ago, I was surfing the World Wide Web as I was shocked to find out that CNBC put an article behind their paywall on the top 4 stocks that comprise 70% of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway portfolio. And I was like, well, this shouldn't be behind the paywall. Let me just make a free video to let everybody know what these 4 stocks are. And I'm actually going to do one better. What CNBC can't do is offer any sort of a real analysis. I'm going to show you how these 4 stocks, including their recent portfolio moves that Warren's done, will show you what he's thinking about inflation and how he's prepping. Because I think that's even more important than these 4 stocks. So let's get started. But, since we don't have any sponsors in this video, I have nothing to sell you. We can jump straight into the video. So don't click nothing, don't smash nothing. Let's get started. So these 4 stocks comprise about 70% of Warren Buffett's portfolio, which is definitely tells you a lot about what he thinks about diversification. Essentially, he treats stocks like marriage. If you find a good one, you marry it. You don't need 1,500 different wives. I mean, some sheiks in some certain countries will disagree with him, but for the most part, I get where he's coming from. Actually, I vibe with it quite a lot. But here it is. So basically, as you know, Warren Buffett loves companies that have good management, good existing track record, a strong brand. I'll explain in a second why. And he definitely is a guy who invests in businesses, not in stocks. He doesn't look at share prices, short-term gains, the charts. He invests in businesses. And these principles actually made me a huge fan of him back in the day, and I still am. But before I tell you these 4 stocks, I want to explain something to you. Warren Buffett did do almost 2,700% basically since he started Berkshire Hathaway, which is definitely an outperformance over the S&P 500. But over the last decade, he's been kind of flat. So we need to take this into consideration. The other thing is, the other cloud above his head, to put a little bit of this in perspective, is that infamously there's a rumor going on that Tim Cook from Apple was actually gung-ho about buying Tesla when Elon was trying to sell, and Warren Buffett was the guy who told him not to do it. Well, don't know if that's true or not, but I can tell you, not even sure that Tesla even hits where it hits today if Tim Cook is basically in charge and it's under Apple. Who knows? It might have died. So no love lost, no spilled milk. Let's just get to it. So the first company is Apple. Apple is currently at 130 billion, which is the biggest holding he has in this fund. And I'll tell you in a second why I absolutely love this investment and how it shows a lot about his basically approach to inflation. But I want to go through the list first. The second holding is Bank of America with about 45 billion, 27 billion in American Express, and 21.6 billion in Coca-Cola. Now, there's one thing in common with every single one of these companies. They all have a household brand. And some of them actually have a cult following, like an Apple or even Coke. People who drink Coke are basically addicts. I mean, I am one. I know how it feels. So very strong brands, very high loyalty. And with the finance businesses, BOA and Amex, very sticky businesses, both on the retail side and the commercial side. But hang on a second. This isn't the point of the video. This is just to stick it to CNBC and give away for free the information they put behind the paywall, which I don't really like. Now, what does it show you about inflation and how Warren Buffett thinks about inflation? Well, in case you didn't know, he already gave away his cards because the Q3 financials of Berkshire Hathaway show that currently they're sitting on 150 billion in cash, which is about half of the entire value of this venture is sitting in cash. Now, anything that goes above that is usually used to buy back shares of the company, which basically means investing again, double dipping into the same companies he's invested in. So why is he sitting on so much cash, 150 billion, as much as he ever sat on? Well, there's only one reason really, is because he's anticipating an inflationary crash. Interest rates go up, companies go down, many options on the ground. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but there seems to be a rhyme hiding somewhere in there. Now, these companies he's also holding actually prove some of the theories I spoke about earlier. And for example, we could take Apple. Apple can raise prices, not lose pretty much demand, almost none. They have almost no debt, huge amounts of cash flow coming in every single quarter, with almost a consistent basis. So a lot of cash, a lot of cheap money. Basically, they don't have to borrow money. They can increase prices. They don't need to increase capex by a lot because they're going through this metamorphosis, going into services, which means much less capex expenditures, much better margins. They're going into healthcare, into services, all this good stuff. So they basically fit the profile of an inflationary stock quite perfectly. And you can do the same analysis for the other three, and I'm sure you're going to get the same result. If Coke raises their prices by 50 cents or $1, will people stop drinking Coke? Presumably, no. I mean, I wouldn't. I think most people are the same. And you can make a similar argument for the stickiness of the business of BOA and Amex on the commercial and the retail side as well. But overall, it seems that Warren Buffett is definitely gearing up towards inflation. 50% of his money is sitting in the bank, which means he's willing to give up interest on 50% of his money just to put this money on the sideline, waiting to pounce on the market at a moment of weakness. Because as you know, Warren Buffett is the guy who coined the phrase, when everybody's greedy, I'm fearful. When everybody's fearful, I'm greedy. That's why he bought Bank of America for I think like $5 billion. This motherfucker is now worth $27 billion or whatever it is. I mean, the guy usually knows what he's doing on a macroeconomic level. But then again, I told you, last 10 years, he's been kind of Conor McGregoring it for the last 10 years. But I think on this point, he's right because, as you know, I also think inflation is coming. But mainly, this was just to stick it to CNBC. Here you go, the 4 companies plus the bonus, what Warren Buffett thinks about inflation, so you can prepare better. Hope this was helpful. A huge shout out to the channel members and the patrons. You guys are the best community on YouTube. If you want to join and support us, there's $5 per month. The link is below. Feel free to join our community, but it's not mandatory. Just keep watching the videos and enjoying them. That's plenty enough for me. See you tomorrow.